Hello, my friends. My name's Beck, and welcome to the Dream Alchemy Art Workshop. We just completed the live art workshop. However, we all shared some kind of personal details, and I'm thinking maybe it's better if I just record the workshop and you can go through later at any time, complete this workshop in your own time. You'll probably need a pen and paper. And if you have a dream that you want to analyze, you can bring that along with you to the course and go through the instructions, pausing the video when there's time for activities. So, as I said, this is just going to be a brief introduction to understanding your dreams and using artwork to connect with your subconscious mind. I'll start by introducing myself. I've been doing dream work for a number of years now, but with a more strict discipline that I've learnt over the past few years, and I wanted to share what I've learnt with you. So working with dreams, astrology, and art is my passion. It's really helped me over the years to connect more to my subconscious mind, to understand myself at a deeper level. I've always been a vivid dreamer, and I've had lucid dreams since I was a child. I used to have really terrible nightmares and astral attacks, and working with my subconscious and understanding my beliefs and then alchemizing the energy there has helped me so much. So this is something that I really want to help other people with. And understanding if you're having nightmares, why you're having them, what subconscious beliefs that you have, and connect deeper to your intuition and your unconscious. So we also have Francie, who is an art psychotherapist, and she is an incredible art psychotherapist. She helps people with processing their trauma, with becoming aware of their subconscious patterns, and to make better choices when it comes to understanding these parts of your subconscious that are more complex. So disclaimer, I'm not a licensed psychologist. However, Francie is a qualified psychotherapist. Most dreamwork practitioners recommend that it's okay to work on your dreams by yourself. However, it is very beneficial to have someone, especially when it comes to working with your subconscious. It can be sometimes overwhelming to work with this energy and confusing. So if you have an analyst or even someone who's a lay person to help guide you through it and to speak about what you're experiencing, especially a lay person who has experience working with active imagination and dream work. So I just want to let anyone know who's doing this workshop that you can message me at any time if you feel you need assistance. And if you do want to work with a qualified analyst, Francie is available for sessions. And I also offer sessions working with astrology and the more metaphysical side of things. So the areas and topics that we're going to cover in this training are dream symbolism and archetypes, dream journaling, active imagination and meditation, and crystals and astrology for dream work. So we're going to start with a meditation. So if you want to get yourself into a comfortable position, maybe grab a blanket, maybe grab a pillow, and get into a space where you won't be disturbed. And once you're comfortable and you've found your little sacred space, you can close down your eyes and just scanning over your body, noticing how you're feeling in this moment. Are there any areas of tension within your body? And just breathing into those areas. On the inhale, expanding the belly, breathing in positive energy. And on the exhale, breathing out any fear, any anxiety, any doubts, any tension that needs to be released, breathing it out now. On the inhale, expanding the belly, breathing in light, breathing in relaxation, breathing in comfort. And on the exhale, breathing out any fears, any stresses, anything left over from the day that you need to release. Breathing it out now. And I want you to take a moment to ask yourself, what is my intention for doing this workshop? Once you identify the reason that you're here today, you can affirm to yourself mentally, I am here to fill in the blank. And we're just going to take a moment to connect the elements, giving thanks to Mother Earth for grounding us into this moment. Her beautiful energy that provides us with food, with shelter, with trees, with plants, with flowers. The beautiful soil of the earth, the minerals. Taking a moment to be grateful for her energy with us today. Moving on to the energy of air, the breath that fills our lungs, taking a moment to be grateful for the air energy, this beautiful element that gives us clarity, allowing us to hear the subtle sound vibrations, to listen to music. And just taking a moment of gratitude for air. Calling in the energy of fire, this beautiful element that gives us inspiration, that gives us life force, that gives us passion, like the phoenix that rises from the ashes, burning away all that no longer serves us, allowing room for growth and an opportunity for us to be reborn. This beautiful fire and the energy of our Father Sun, giving us warmth, giving us motivation, giving us energy, and lighting the way. Taking a moment to be grateful for the energy of fire. And calling in the energy of water, appreciating her in all of her beautiful states, her ability to transform as rain, as clouds, as a waterfall, as a still ocean, as a thunderstorm, allowing her and appreciating her beauty in all of these different states as we appreciate our emotions that color our lives, taking a moment to be grateful for the energy of water. And calling in the energy of the ether, of source consciousness, of the 0 point, the observer, the field of infinite potentials, recognizing that we can connect to any infinite amount of timelines at any time. And wherever we focus our attention, we give life to that timeline, knowing that we can start again at any moment. Thanking all of the elements in source consciousness. Just coming back into our bodies slowly, wiggling the fingertips and the toes. Slowly opening the eyes. And I hope you're all feeling nice and relaxed and ready to connect deeper to our dreams and each other. Okay. So this part of the workshop, we were all just introducing ourselves. My name is Beck and I'm an Aquarius, and my intention with this course is to share the knowledge of dream work that I've learnt, but also learn from you guys and create a community where we can all feel safe and open with understanding our dreams and sharing this really valuable work. So the first part of the course, we're going to go through dream symbols and archetypes. So the most common archetypes are found in so many different mythologies. And although at first we may think that everyone has a personal relationship with symbology of their dreams, what Carl Jung discovered is that there is an interconnective web that he termed the collective unconscious, where esoteric symbols and archetypal characters appeared throughout many different cultures and beliefs. These esoteric symbols, he found, were intertwined throughout almost every religion and culture through history. And although the archetypes varied, what Jung discovered was a common theme among the many. And so this gives reference to the holographic universe theory and the Hermetic law, as above, so below. The micro reflects the macro. Everything is fractal and reflective. In all chaos, there is a cosmos. In all disorder, a secret order. And that is a quote from Carl Jung's book, The Archetypes and the Collective Unconscious. So I thought for the first part of this course, we can discuss the similarities between different mythological archetypes. And one of the most obvious that many of us have heard of is Greek mythology and Roman mythology. And Roman mythological archetypes are all of the planets are pretty much named after different Roman gods. And Greek mythology has these same archetypes as well, and some of them are found in our astrology too. So as you can see, what I wanted to show is that these different archetypes are found in so many different cultures, not just Roman and Greek. They're also found in Egyptian mythology, in Mayan mythology, in Norse mythology, in Hindu. And these different types of characters are found everywhere, all throughout our world. They continuously come up and they tell the story of the hero's journey, some people call it, and the story of the human life and all of the different parts of our life that we embody at different stages. So in Greek mythology, we have Aphrodite, who is the goddess of beauty, of love, of attraction. And in Roman mythology, we have Venus, who embodies very, very similar attributes. In Greek mythology, we have Ares, who is the god of war, the god of fire. He is the god of action and this masculine energy. And then we have in Roman mythology Mars, who also the word martial law comes from, martial arts comes from. And once again, it's that combative energy, that warrior archetype, that take action now, think later energy. And then in Greek mythology, we have Kronos, who is the lord of time, the lord of karma. And then Saturn, the same type of archetype, once again, who is the god of discipline. A lot of people know about the Saturn return, which is the part of your life when you have to start taking more responsibility for your action. You might start to see that you can't really behave in the same way that you did in your early 20s, and you start having to take responsibility over your life. So Saturn really embodies that disciplinary and fatherly type energy. So if you want to pause the video now and maybe think of some other Greek mythological archetypes and how they relate to other mythologies. So you can even go to Hindu mythology or Egyptian mythology. And if you would like to do the activity, you can write down an archetype that you've seen or that you know of. It could be one that you've embodied in your life or one that you're familiar with, and draw a symbol or a picture to represent this archetype. And then list the attributes of that archetype and which part of your life did they come up in. So if you want to pause the video now, you can just take 10 minutes to do this, and it'll help you sort of make that connection between these different archetypes and how these similar things come up in so many different religions and cultures. Okay. So once we finished there, I wanted to discuss the tools for dream work. So the first tool I want to discuss is arguably the most important tool for anyone who wishes to understand their dreams and form a stronger connection with their unconscious mind. And if you're doing this work, I really, really encourage you to get a dream journal or a book that you feel connected to. It doesn't have to be anything fancy, but it is good if you pick a book that you feel excited about writing in. And the reasons for keeping a dream journal are it helps you to remember your dreams. It also will help you to recognize patterns. Is there some sort of symbol that keeps coming up in your dreams? Also, you can keep track of where the moon is at certain times or which zodiac season that we're in. Keeping track of that also helps you to understand your progress. And once you've been keeping a dream journal for a while, you can go back to dreams you were having a month ago, or if you've been doing it for a longer time, maybe we're in Taurus season now, you can go back to last Taurus season and see if there's any similarities in your dreams to what you were going through back then. Are there similar themes that are coming up? So it helps you to track your growth. And also it helps you to gain more clarity in your dreams. The more that you remember, the more that your memory strengthens. So you get more clarity in your dreams, which also increases the likeliness of having a lucid dream if that's something that you want to explore. Okay, so the next thing that I'm going to discuss is the 4-step process. Now, I didn't invent this process. This was invented by Robert Johnson, who wrote the book Inner Work. But this is a process that I've used over the past few years, and I've found it extremely helpful with analyzing my dreams. So here we have a picture example of one of the ways to analyze the dreams. It is a really good method, writing the symbol that comes up in the middle there, and then doing the first step, which is making associations. So say you dreamt about the color blue, you can write down all of the ways that you feel connected to the color blue and what associations you make in your life. So it could be your blue sweater, true blue, honest, faithful, cool and detached, sad, I've got the blues. So the second step that we take is, how do these associations relate to my life? So let's say you dreamt of the color blue. You wrote down sad, I've got the blues. Okay, maybe I've been feeling a bit sad lately and I haven't really paid attention to that emotion. The next is interpretations. What is the dream trying to show me? Let's say in the dream you dreamt of the color blue, you were in a blue room and you couldn't get out. You can make the interpretation then possibly that, okay, I'm feeling trapped in this feeling of blueness and sadness, and perhaps there is a feeling of grief that you need to overcome or even just acknowledge. Then step 4 is arguably the most important step, because a lot of people do the first 3 steps with their dreams. They recognize the symbols, but then they don't do anything about it. So step 4 is the ritual. Taking conscious action to honor your dreams, which means, okay, you've been feeling sad. You've discovered that from your dream's trying to tell you to do something about it. So maybe there is grief that you need to process. Okay, I'm going to start doing therapy sessions, or I'm going to start taking action, or even just acknowledging this aspect of myself that needs to be processed. So that's a very, very quick example of the 4-step process. Obviously, it can go in many different directions. But yeah, paying attention to colors that come up, symbols, and also maybe not so much Googling what does the color blue mean. You want to kind of go from your own intuition because it's going to mean something completely different to everyone who goes through this. So the next step that we have is active imagination. So the first thing that I do when I wake up after I journal is I meditate. And depending on the dream that I've had, let's say it was a nightmare or something that left me feeling a bit icky, this is a really, really good method for that. So what active imagination asks you to do is, in meditation, imagine going back into the dream and ending the dream in a more positive way. So, for example, you were being harassed in your dream, or someone was insulting you, or there was something going on that was making you feel disempowered. You can imagine going back into the dream and taking a more empowered action. So, what would have been, you can ask yourself, what would have been the best possible outcome in that situation, and then visualize it, whatever you needed to happen. So this is obviously a very summarized version of active imagination, but I've used this technique over the past year and found it really powerful. Essentially, it gives you a sense of closure and it strengthens your psychic ability, which is your imagination. And it's one of the most powerful ways to interact with your subconscious from your conscious mind. So now I'll hand it over to Francie, who will be sharing her views on dream work and an activity for art psychotherapy.
Hi, I'm Frankie. I'm an art psychotherapist in Australia, and I'm just going to add to Beck's Dreams Alchemy workshop today just by introducing a little bit about why you as a client might bring dreams into therapy and why that might be helpful, and specifically art therapy. So, first of all, why is dream work used in art therapy? Basically, dream work it's a tool and it's a door to the subconscious. And this is one way we can communicate with our subconscious. With art therapy, we're using the art to continuously communicate to our subconscious and to let our subconscious be heard. Even if your conscious mind, which is the thinking mind you're using throughout the day, does not understand anything that it is seeing, your subconscious mind is understanding everything when it communicates through artworks and through things like dream work, because that is how the subconscious communicates. It's very different. It's very complex and it just has a different way of understanding. So when you come into a therapy session with a dream, it could be because you're wanting to understand some behaviors you have, especially some subconscious behaviors, whether it's relationships or whether it's from a diagnosis. You may be wondering why you've been living so many years and you keep making the same decisions, and all of a sudden you're having these reoccurring dreams. Or maybe you've gone into therapy for this reason, and then all of a sudden through that, because it's slowly opening up the door to your subconscious with the communication, that's when you will start having the dreams. And then that's when you bring them into a therapy session. It doesn't really matter which way around it is, but typically if someone's bringing a dream in first, then you might have a slightly different agenda or goal or outcome at the end of it. It might just be for curiosity into your current state of mind. It might be because you've recognized you need to heal some connections within yourself. It might be trying to understand a trauma. It might be certain triggers within your life. And it might also be balancing fantasy, which is, it can be a trauma response. This is where people tend to live in their fantasy world a little bit more um, than the waking world, which is the material reality that we live in. And although the subconscious it does seem a lot like fantasy and it's very much real, but there is a balancing act to make sure that you're safe in this world and in your existence. So some of the methods that we might bring in and what to expect if you're going into an art therapy session, whether it's online or in person. In person is obviously always different because you can pick up on someone's energies straight away, and that can help to make a client feel safe. When you're online, there is a slight different presence, and maybe you need to build a bit of trust. Maybe it's hard just being on camera and not having that connection, or your environment is different. So there are a few things to play around with, but in general, when you're coming in for a session, it would be like anything else. You're going to get to know each other. You're going to find out why you've come in, what is your purpose, what are your goals, and then dependent on where the dream work takes place, the therapist will decide to go through different techniques to help you get the most out of this dream and help understand, dependent on the safety of the client as well. A client might tell you something very personal and deep, and it's related to a dream, but it's not always necessary to dive straight into that. So there's a bit of reflection and analysis around that to keep the client safe too. But if the therapist does decide to go ahead with a few techniques, some of them they might be using the Ullman's Group by Montag Ullman. You've got Art Therapy Dream Analysis Tool by Ellen Horowitz. You've got Jungian symbols and archetypes to work with. You've got Freud's somatic and emotional connection. You've got the Clara Hill Draw approach. You've got a 4-step approach, or active imagination by Robert A. Johnson, which I think Beck actually already went into, so that's kind of great. So we can expand on that. And then you've got the Gestalt approach as well. So a lot of these are better for the client when you have someone facilitating that approach, or that method or technique. For example, the Ullman's Group is group. So for the safety of the group, or even just to have a group, you need to have a facilitation area and a facilitator to work with that one, which can be very powerful. Something like the Clara Hill Draw approach, she actually goes back into the dream. So you would need someone to help facilitate this with you, like a therapist. And then she really pulls on waking moments, which is where you might have a dream, and then it's not until the next day that you might see something that you go, hang on a minute, I think I saw that. That reminds me of a dream I had. So that's another approach, and that's very relevant as well, and something you can do yourself if you recognize waking moments. But the part of going back into the dream in depth and pulling out key moments and keywords is much better done when facilitated by someone, because we can observe and reflect back to you word for word what you're saying, because often at the time you don't realize what you're saying. You might think, oh, I don't remember saying there was a green car, and we'll go, yeah, but we've managed to note that down for you so we can discuss that. The Gestalt approach is also another one which is often better facilitated, because it goes quite deep into a creative process of every element of the creation that you have made in relation to an example of a dream. And then the others like the Jungian symbolism and archetypes, which you can look into yourself. It's a bit more of a research element. So what we might do, let's just move on. It's just important to remember a few things when you're going through dream work, is that even though those were a few, there are more techniques and methods. It's not one size fits all. So even when you go into a dream with a therapist, we may just try one approach, one session or 1 week. If nothing comes out of that, then you'll move on to the next one if you're still willing and still interested in diving into that dream or any future dreams, because they all overlap, and depending on what's coming up for you at the time, where you are mentally, emotionally, you may use different approaches to get different information. And also to remember, not all symbols have one meaning. This is very common when we go and research on the internet and we think, what do butterflies mean? So that's more, it's always good to remember that for the individual, it can be so different. And of course, there are elements of growing up and nature and us all understanding the same thing. So that might start to symbolize that for you, but it doesn't necessarily mean a direct, this is it, that's all it means within your dream. It's also good to remember that you are a part of your dream. And this is quite helpful when you're having a dream where you're confused because you've seen someone else or a figure or something in your dream and it seems separate. For some reason, you're thinking, oh, no, they've entered my dream. But in reality, that was you. You've manifested and created this in your subconscious to show you something about yourself or how you relate to this person. Sometimes, yes, there can be others that enter your dream for sure, on a more spiritual and different level. But from a therapy point of view, we're also looking at how you interpret yourself within that dream to help understand yourself. So, I would like to invite anyone listening to dive a bit deeper into the 4-step approach or active imagination by Robert A. Johnson. This is because it's quite a straightforward one to facilitate yourself. And it does pull on symbolism and the somatic and emotional states. And these are all things that you can reflect on and research. And you can do them in a 15-minute morning session, or you can dive deeper into them. But it is something that you can do by yourself. So just basics, you can use anything you want to create or draw, but dependent, you'll need your dream. You may have wrote this down, or you may have just typed it in your phone, or you may have drawn an image of a dream you had. It doesn't really matter. And then I'll just invite you to have a pen, some pencils, paper, a journal, or alternatively, because it is a bit of an self-analysis, you can just use your iPhone. It's always helpful to have technology. Okay. So if anyone's with me and you've got your dream with you, even if it was just a few keywords that you wrote down when you woke up and you were like, oh, there was a, I don't know, I remember seeing my mum in my dream, or I remember I was surrounded by plants, whatever it is. The first step you're going to do is you're going to make any associations. And the best way to do this is to take out the keywords or the key elements in your dream. For example, if in your dream you're driving to the shops. So what you're going to do is you're going to say, okay, well, there was a car, a red car. There was a shopping centre. Maybe you remember what type of shopping centre, maybe you don't. So you're taking out real specific things that were in your dream. Then what you're going to do is you're going to make some associations to those elements in your dream, whether it's a person or an object or a feeling or emotion. Maybe you just woke up and you feel sad. You're not sure. Maybe you just saw a certain colour. Maybe it was a shape. You don't know what the shape is. It doesn't matter what it is. And these are basically assumptions that you have based on your own knowledge. So you're going to go, I don't know, the car. Maybe I was driving because I was driving forward and I'm going towards something. Maybe that's the best you can come up with. Maybe it's the fact that you remembered someone you know owned a car like that. Maybe it was you.